evening, punters. It's In the Know, brought to you by the Racing Post and Coral. My name is Ross Brierley. Thank you once again for joining us on this Friday night. We're off to Newbury and Warwick on Saturday, and we've got a nice little 1-2, a bit of Newbury, bit of Warwick, bit of Newbury, bit of Warwick. It's a perfect Saturday afternoon in the winter, or at least it would be if the main star was actually going to run this weekend. We'll be looking forward to seeing Sir Gino, but there's No Gino, which I believe was a Dexys Midnight Runners song, or more like a Dexys Midnight Non-Runners, I guess, after this weekend. But it does make the Kingmaker a little bit more interesting, because it means that Loda Sud now has a chance to put his Arkle credentials on the line without the odds-on favourite strutting his stuff at the other track on Saturday afternoon. Plenty more to get stuck into as well. We've got a fascinating Denman chase with a couple of Nichols horses trying to bounce back, and a Venetia Williams chaser going up in the trip on a Saturday. Be very tempted by that angle as per usual. We'll have some Mares Hurdle angles potentially as well, and of course a big field for the Handicap Hurdle at Newbury. That was the Betfair Hurdle, is now the William Hill Hurdle, is the Newbury Hurdle. I've heard it called the Schweppes earlier on, depending on how old you are, so there's plenty going on. Yeah, stick around for the next hour. Hello to everyone at home already. Ray Stevenson, Stevens99, JJ13, Disney account, Dale Grimble, and many, many more. Get in touch with your selections on the chat. So what are you looking forward to on Saturday? No Sir Gino, but luckily we do have a Sir G Rod in the studio. The next best thing, my good man.
Yeah, hi Ross, good to be here as always. Another great Saturday, isn't it? And these run up to Cheltenham. It's Cheltenham, Newbury, Cheltenham, Ascot. That's what you said to me earlier.
Is it?
Well, you said Cheltenham big Saturday, Cheltenham big Saturday.
Yeah,
this one's Newbury this week, Ascot next week, then Kempton, isn't it?
Well, that's the thing. It is. I mean, you tipped a few winners at Kempton and Bangor today, I think, didn't you?
Yeah, I enjoyed today. Yeah, it was great. Yeah, it's nice to have a couple of winners. Yeah, so hopefully that continues.
Like I said, in my head, it's sort of if it's not running on a Saturday or it's not running in a race that might impact a Cheltenham race at the moment.
Looking.
Well, there's only so much you can keep in your head, isn't there?
That's true, yeah. Cheltenham is a bit all-encompassing at this time of year, isn't it? But we love it that way, don't we? We wouldn't change it for the world.
No, I mean, again, a lot of people say Friday, 7th of February, it's fine for it to be all-encompassing. If it's Friday, the 7th of September, which is kind of when it starts, it's a bit different. But look, I genuinely was looking forward to Sir Gino doing what Altior and Sprinter Sacre had done in the past and won the game Spirit as a novice. That won't be happening.
Well, it would have been quite interesting because it was quite a hot race, wasn't it? And Sir Gino, of course, was only coming in off the back of one run. I mean, some of those other novices that Henderson had run in that game Spirit had a lot more experience of coming into the race against seasoned proper chasers. Well,
it genuinely makes me think I want to take Sir Gino on, because going to the Arkloft one run, that's a very different kettle of fish entirely, isn't it?
Well, one run over fences, of course, he did run but it's not un-Henderson-like, is it? I mean, let's be honest, as each year goes on, his horses seem to get seen less and less and less, and now this one's, what is it, sore foot or something is the problem now? I mean, is that a worry, only 6 weeks away from Cheltenham for a red-hot favourite there?
Yeah, possibly. Look, how much of that will worry you is it's completely up to you. Plenty of other fascinating horses taking the chance, of course. We've got Matata versus Edwards, so you've still got an unexposed chaser versus one of the old guard to get stuck into. But Sorefoot has ruled Sir Gino out. But a head cold won't stop Paul Kealy. I mean, it'll stop him coming into the studio, thank God, which means we don't get it. But it won't stop him being on the show.
How you doing? My Uta is so sore you won't believe. But yeah, I've mostly got my voice back, but the rest of me ain't doing too good.
No, but hopefully you've got a head full of selections as well as snot. Is that fair?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I hope they turn out, but a lot better than I'm feeling. But I fancy a few tomorrow.
What are you? Again, I'm going to remind you as well. I think it was Monday, was it? When I said to you about looking at this weekend's racing and your first. I'm going to remind you of your first thought on Monday about this weekend's race, and I've actually forgot what it was. But have you overcomplicated it, or did you end up going back to where you started?
Well, I had to go back to where I started because all the horses I backed at the post haven't turned up.
Right, okay, fair enough. Yeah, that'll do it.
I couldn't have had a worse start to the week, to be honest. So, back to the drawing board.
All right, lovely stuff. We'll get to that in just a second. David Stevens is our Coral representative for the evening. How are you doing, mate?
Good evening. Yeah, lovely to see you for the second time this week. I thought when Rodders was referring to the sort of Cheltenham, Ascot, Cheltenham, Newbury, he was referring to the Monday evening shows that we're starting now. We started on Monday. Surely you tuned in on Monday, Rodders, for the first Cheltenham preview?
Wouldn't miss it for the world.
Yeah.
Every single Monday I'll be there. Cheltenham, Ascot, Cheltenham, Kempton, Cheltenham, Newbury, is it?
Yep, Cheltenham.
Cheltenham, Kelso.
Sandown.
Then Cheltenham.
Sandown. There's
Sandown,
also,
then Cheltenham.
I don't know. There's also, then Cheltenham. And then Uttoxeter, and and the cycle starts again. Are you at Newbury or Warwick tomorrow, David, or will you be at home
Newbury.
enjoying the action?
Newbury for me. Always enjoy this day. Schweppes, I remember it being the Schweppes and the Tote Gold Trophy. So yeah, aging myself there. But I have to say, Rodders is looking very prosperous. He looks like a man who's backed a few winners today. Let's hope that continues. Look, another big weekend. Obviously, we saw the Irish struck their stuff last weekend. Chance for some of the British contenders, albeit, as you say, depleted by our main act in Sir Gino tomorrow. And it's also another big day for our Pipped at the Post offer. This is where you will get paid out if your horse is beaten by a neck or less. This is in all the ITV races tomorrow, up to a £10 stake. So let's hope for a few close finishes, just like Django Bay in last week's Silly Hours, who lost the race. But if you backed him with Coral, you got paid as a winner.
Yeah, I watched that replay back again this morning just to see how he didn't go by just once again. What are you looking forward to most this weekend, Mr. Stevens? Any particular horse? Any particular race?
I'm looking forward to seeing Load of Sud, because anyone that did tune in on Monday when we looked at the Arkle will know that that was kind of the obvious each way selection to Sir Gino and Majborough. He's actually has been clipped in. I know we'll come on to that race, of course. So yeah, looking forward to seeing what that one can do. As I say, a bit of a response after all the Willie Mullins winners last weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. Good evening to everyone who's joined us on the chat. Like I said, Paul Stokes, Rob Dixon, Ricky Bell, hello to you, and Brian Goll. Again, so he runs a really good stats website and gives money to charity for Cheltenham every year. And I've got a couple of yours coming up. In fact, so the thing that was interesting, the saying about Sir Gino, only Well Chief and Western Warhorse have won the Arkle off the back of one run.
Yep.
I think Sir Gino's more a Well Chief possibly than a Western Warhorse, but it's interesting. But Load of Sud is starting to hit a profile of recent Arkle with it. I do think experience for a novice, 2 miles in particular, it's huge, isn't it?
You would have thought so, yeah. Being a sound jumper is very important, isn't it? I mean, it's one thing having the engine, but you've got to get around there, haven't you, at Cheltenham? And it's a tricky track to jump, isn't it? No doubt about it, ups and downs. And Sir Gino's not been round there yet.
And going to Warwick as well, though, so that we'll talk about later. I do like Warwick again. It's you're on the turn. It's fairly tight. The fences come thick and fast at times. So the things you learn there are the things you need to win at Cheltenham. Yeah,
like Sandown, isn't it? And Lord de Sud, of course, has already won around Sandown himself. So, like you say, he's building a very solid profile, but it's potentially coming up against two top notchers, isn't he? In Sir Gino and Majborough. Someone said it's called Marlborough, apparently. I don't know.
Yeah, that's probably that. That actually, now you've said that, that kind of.
Marlborough. Reminds me of Marlborough. Do you remember the old horse that used to chase Best Mate home all the time?
Yeah. Which, and to be fair, if you say Majborough, I always instantly think of Maggie Thatcher, which is brilliant. But anyway, a disturbing image that is. Anyway, here's an advert. We'll get look into the racing. Okay, let's go. Like I said, get your selections in on the chat about what you fancy tomorrow. If you've got a nap, put it in capital letters so it stands out from all the arguing amongst yourselves. Which, to be fair, is very entertaining. But it's hard to read some of it because I do have to keep my mind on what everyone's saying in the room. But sometimes it is very interesting what unfolds on the chat. We should do a whole entire show where we just respond to that. But anyway, Newbury and Warwick, like I said. So let's kick off at Newbury, shall we? In the 150, we've got a 3-mile handicap hurdle where Haiti Couleur is 9-2 with Kruger Park, 5-1 up for Parole. Shut Up Shirley is 6-1. Sorry. Anyone called Shirley's watching at home. Magical King 6-1, Tiny Tetley 13-2, Santos Blue 10-1, the 4 6s at 12-1, and bigger the rest. plenty of interesting angles here. I mean, especially as one of the joint favourites is surely a potential for keeping the chase mark at a workable level for spring festivals in Haiti colours. And Kruger Park for Paul Nicholls and Freddie Gingell. Paul Nicholls, obviously, last week we were saying wasn't in fantastic nick, but they're starting to come back into form. You got Up for Parole, who's relished to step up in trip. Shut Up Shirley's a bounce candidate. Magical King for a yard who start to burst into form at the back end of the winter, early part of the spring. Rodders, I thought this looked a tough one to me.
Good betting race, isn't it? If you like a big field and 6-1 the field are we looking at, something like that. It's 9-2 the field. So I like Kruger Park.
Okay.
Who won his only start at the track and steadily coming back to form this season. Finished third last time at Utoxeter. The horse who finished fourth has won twice since and is rated a lot higher now. So I think that form is strong. And we've got Freddie Gingell, haven't we, on board, claiming £3 off his back, and he rode last time. So I thought that there was a lot to like about it. It could be a good day for Paul Nicholls, couldn't it?
Yeah, well, I mean, to be fair, we said the same last week, though, and it wasn't. But again, this week his horses do seem to have taken a little bit of a step forward, which is what inevitably happens in February for him.
Yeah, I suppose we're kind of waiting for him to catch fire, aren't we, Nicholls? Really, it's not been a stellar season, has it, by his own very, very high standards? But he will have his winners, and it's likely to be on big Saturdays, isn't it? Because obviously, with Willie Mullins so dominant at Cheltenham nowadays, he targets these big ones in Britain. He looks like he's got loads of good chances, I thought, at Newbury tomorrow, Ross. Yeah,
and he's got, your Newbury's and obviously Wincanton next week, I think, as well.
Yeah.
A lot of his tracks where he'll have a good time of it. Kruger Park, it's a strange one, isn't it? I've not seen too much of him. He's the one in the field where you think, I can't quite work out how good he is. So he's been well backed as well, Keels. He's into 92 joint favourite here. But yeah, I mean, I could kind of, like I said, it's another one of those races where horses like Tiny Tetley I was really interested in, but has to step up in grade. Up for Parole I kind of given up on, but he's bounced back up in trip. Yeah, you could fancy loads here.
You could do. You've already mentioned the two that I was most interested in. Graham's given the case for Kruger Park. I backed him this morning. He'd be my main one. That run at Utoxeter last time was very good. The winner was a good second in a much better race at Haydock next time. As he said, the fourth was won, albeit twice over fences, Katati Dory, who was also second in the Somerset National after that. Solid bit of form. I like horses with course form, obviously. And he absolutely cruised home when he won over 2.5 here last year. I think he won by 8.5 lengths from Il Val de Soie. He's a stone higher now, but the runner-up £17 higher, I think. They were 24 lengths clear of the rest. He obviously had no issues with the ground, which I think will end up being quite testing if they get. We certainly have more rain where I am than was forecast. I don't know whether that's on its way there, but they are due some wintry showers, so I'd imagine it'll get more testing again. So yeah, I think the trainer said he thought he got there too soon last time. Wouldn't quite buy that because he was in front 2 out when he won at Newbury and just kept going further clear. But I think he's got to have a right chance of the weights. Tiny Tetley, I thought, ran a little bit better than it looked last time at Haydock because he had a slow jump 3 out pace. He lost a bit of ground and momentum and wasn't given that much of a hard time and still stayed on for 4. I think he's got a player. And as you mentioned, Haiti Couleur, last time he ran over hurdles, he was rated £13 lower. He's gone over fences. Obviously, they want another run in him he's going to go for the National Hunt Chase, I believe. So let's just, keep the weight, keep his mark as it is.
Yeah, because he's obviously it's 3 for the National Hunt Chase, isn't it? So
yeah, although obviously, as opposed to the Irish handicap, if they win over hurdles or if they win over fences, their mark is likely to go up as well.
Yeah.
If he was running in Ireland, he'd be running off 122 now because the handicap just leaves them where they were, like he did with Meeting of the Waters last week.
Yeah, but that's why I kind of thought it was worth opposing here today because I can't, if he finishes 3rd or 4th in this, that'll put him absolutely bang on for a crack at the National Chase.
Yeah, if he wins, he goes up a little bit. Probably doesn't want it.
Yeah. Okay. And quite a few crossing form lines, like you said. The horses like Uncle Bert and Kilbury Hill, all kind of in the mix with a few in this race, and also with a few later on at the race at Warwick, which we won't be covering, the 3 mile handicap hurdle on there as well. David Stevens, yeah, wide open stuff, bit of money for Kruger Park. Anything else that's been backed?
Kruger Park is definitely the big mover in this. We are 4 places each way, and it is a really tricky looking race to begin with. Horticoleurs, you can make a case for. He's in great form over fences, but the National Hunt Chase is very much on his agenda. Up for Parole's in form. Shut Up Shirley couldn't have been any more impressive last time down at Fontwell. Is up out Pains for that. Up out £8 for that. But I'm going to take a chance on Santos Blue at a price. He's double figure odds. He has been nibbled in 14s into 10s. Second at Hereford last time. Hoping the trip. He has got a little bit of form over 3 miles. You have to go back a little bit to find that, but it is there. And Mr. Ben Sutton rides him now. So, yeah, regular pilot for him.
Okay, thank you very much.
I'll just throw one in at a stupid price here.
That's the music to my ears, Rodders.
Press Your Luck.
All right.
Been off like forever, but has got bits and pieces of form that would give him a chance if he turns up on his very, very best form. He was 138 when he last ran over hurdles. He was running off 132 here. He was 4th behind Broadway Boy over hurdles in a good race at Cheltenham 2 starts ago. He's got some decent course form. I think he was finished second here really quite a long time ago. But I was looking at this race on Monday, and this horse was 66 to 1. And Chris Gordon had already booked his son up on him, you know, Freddie Gordon. He's obviously very good value for his claim. It just caught my eye, you know, when you like something that's been off for so long, and a track where Gordon does really well.
Yeah.
Well handicapped.
Absolutely.
I know it's 50, 40 to 1, something like that, but.
Yeah, but I was just looking back. I mean, the run behind, you know, Broadway Boy, Santos Blue was just ahead of him there. He's gone up in the weights. Obviously, he's been given a chance because he's been off for so long. But also, again, Chris Gordon, this time, he, like, you know, Newbury and then Kempton in a couple of weeks as well.
Yeah.
But this is his time of year. There is track. So
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it might run terribly because it's not run for so long. But you know, at the price, you can have a tenner on, can't you?
it's 40 to 1. So yeah, it's, you know, I appreciate the angle. Chris Gordon could have a couple run well at big prices, I thought, at the weekend. So thank you, Mr. Rodway. Warwick's 205 then is the Kingmaker Novices Chase. Just the 4 of them. Here, Loader Sud is 1 to 4, Reward at 7 to 2, Tedley at 20 to 1, Risking the Ground at 40 to 1. So yeah, it's a bit of an odd lineup, of course. And obviously with Sergino potentially going for the game spirit, not going at all. I guess the Seltons were trying to avoid one of their big rivals at Cheltenham, albeit obviously he has won this fairly recently with All Mankind, and this is kind of par for the course these days, isn't it? With the short price horse coming for this race and trying to extend their credentials to Cheltenham. On the upside, Keels, nice to see a horse who's not trained by a Henderson or a Mullins at such a short price, and again, like we're saying, given that Sergino might end up going to Cheltenham with 1 under his belt, and Majborough or Marlborough, however you want to pronounce it, with only 2 runs under his belt, the best thing that Loader Sud can do is just get as bomb-proof as he possibly can over fences.
Yeah, absolutely, and he does jump well, doesn't he? I mean, I would say, you know, it's certainly not impossible to win off a few runs. I remember years ago, Well Chief won a 16-runner Arkle after having run once at Taunton, and there's probably only going to be 5 or 6 in this year's Arkle, aren't there, if the main 2 go. So I wouldn't be that worried if I'd backed either of the other 2, but I have backed Loader Sud each way for the Arkle because I just didn't think he should be anywhere near 14 to 1. Simply because I don't think there's going to be many runners, and he does jump really well. He likes Cheltenham. He's won at Cheltenham over fence. He's been second in a county hurdle, and you know he should win this. It has to be said, Rubo was a better horse over him than hurdles. Over hurdles, he's won the elite hurdle a couple of times. He's won that conditions race at Kempton a couple of times. He doesn't want to go right-handed though, and he doesn't want soft ground. And he fell at Kempton behind Sergino and Ballyburn when, you know, looking well out of his class at the time. So yeah, you can't argue with Loader Sud being fav. The other 2 shouldn't be a factor. They're upwards of £20 worse horses. So yeah, hopefully he just wins as he likes, head in his chest, and then goes to the Arkle with very solid credentials in an average Arkle, but you know, probably just serious place hopes against 2 horses that could be special.
Yeah, but again, I mean, he is a solid option who will have the experience. Again, I was talking about the stats from earlier, but 16 in the last 20 Arkle winners, had more 3 or 4 runs over fences. So again, I mean, inexperience can catch you out. The interesting thought about this, I mean, Rhubart's a funny one, isn't he? I mean, he is a very talented horse, but he's a very talented horse under very specific conditions. With a load of form working out really, really well. I did think there was a possibility that if Rhubarт doesn't take to fences a second time, which is not out the reckoning. I mean, Tedley's 2 runs at Windsor and Newbury behind Vincenzo and Khalif de Burley. I mean, you could really soft ground at Cheltenham and then up in trip last time out. I don't know. I don't entirely trust Rhubarт. Would you rule out a cheeky forecast potentially with the second favourite disappointing?
I wouldn't rule out that at all, because I don't think Rhubarт wants to be going left-handed, to be honest. I know he's won a Scottish Champion hurdle, but he was hanging off the bend there, and there were some turns to deal with it at Warwick, aren't there? So yeah, I wouldn't be a massive fan of Rhubart around there at all.
Okay, let us then at 1 to 4. Form working out though. I mean, obviously Soul Icons, Frank the Form, and a couple in there as well have given the form a nice look. Touch Me Not, of course, ran really well in Ireland. Down memory lane, stepped up in trip and ran into Lecky Watson. So yeah, really likeable favourite here. Albeit I don't think any of us are suggesting going crazy at 1 to 4.
Oh, yeah, I really like him. I think he's a solid jumper, isn't he? He travels nicely. He's a much better chaser than he was hurdler. Obviously, Rhubarт was an £11 better hurdler than him, and on the ratings, even on his chase rating, 152 to 149, getting £5, Rhubart should give him a race. But Kills has already mentioned, like you said, going left-handed might not be ideal. Ground might not be ideal, and is he a chaser? Yeah, I mean, he fell first time up. He was well beaten at the time, albeit obviously behind Sergino and Ballyburn.
Yeah, obviously he's hugely taken out of his comfort zone. But how many times have we seen Harry Skelton come to Warwick on a horse like this and take other horses out of the comfort zone? I mean, he did with Sherry Dharm a few weeks ago now. All Mankind a couple of seasons ago. He could put that jumping under pressure as well.
Yeah, definitely. And Paul Nicholls trained horses, they don't usually spend as long over hurdles as Rhubart did, do they? I mean, they tend to be chasers, so it makes you wonder whether he has always been a natural chaser. It wouldn't surprise me if next season or the season after he ends up back over hurdles. And if Rhubart isn't a chaser, then Lord de Sud only needs to jump round to win because he's miles ahead of everything else. So yeah, he should just win, shouldn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, load us up then. 1 to 4 here, David Stevens, and obviously carrying a bit of extra. You got your head as well, but you got your heart with the Silks too. After the sad news last week.
Yeah, of course. Look, it'll be a major shock and a major disappointment if he can't justify those odds of 1 to 4. Look, he couldn't have done any more in his 3 starts over fences, including the Grade 1 at Sandown before Christmas. We'll find out, hopefully, how good he is when he takes on the big 2 at Cheltenham. But ahead of tomorrow, of course, he's 1 to 4. But if you fancy him to win by over 4 lengths, we are 11 to 10 from 8 to 11 for the duration of this live show. Apologies, I should have got this in at the start of the show, but still plenty of time left. So that might be the way to get with him.
Okay, yeah. And to be fair, I mean, All Mankind won this by 14 from the front a couple of seasons ago, so that's probably not a bad little angle there for the Kingmaker. Okay, Newbury then. Back we go for the Denman Chase. The 225. Brave Man's Game is 5 to 2 favourite here. Jello is 4 to 1. Hitman 9 to 2. Le Patron 11 to 2. Garlord 15 to 2. Sam Brown 10 to 1. Fugitive 11 to 1. Eldorado Allen at 16 to 1 here for this Grade 2 contest. And you get 2 types of Denman Chase winner, don't you? You've had your Shishkins and your Native Rivers and your Clanders Oboes and your Sylvian Arco Contis and your long runs, and then you get your Zanzas and your Secret Investors, those kind of horses. So which Denman Chase will it be this year? Will it be Brave Man's Game or Hitman? Sorry?
It's full of Zanzas.
It is absolutely. This is what I mean. It is absolutely. It is Zanzad up to the eyeballs, this race, isn't it?
I call it the cheese graters races. They're all full of holes, aren't they?
They absolutely are. Okay, well, you say that. Here's a stat that I was going through earlier, because this is the thing that stands out to me, Paul Kealy. We were talking about Rhubarт going over fences late on for the Nichols as well. Popping a tongue tie on Brave Man's Game. It just seems a bit sort of like at 10 years old. It seems a little bit odd. So I thought, well, I don't know how often that happens. Nichols' first time tongue tie in graded or listed chasers. He's 3 from 44. And 2 of those were 7-year-olds, 1 was a 5-year-old, which makes sense to me, like, okay, try and squeeze out a bit more of a younger horse. Older horses, he's 0 from 17. 10-year-olds in general, tongue ties in graded and listed chasers, 1 from 75. I don't know, he's just a horse who he's struggling
Max of desperation.
It does a bit, doesn't it? I mean, he's a very, very talented horse. He's running in all the top chasers around at your Kemptons, at your Haydocks, and at Cheltenham, of course. But it does scream there's a little bit of a warning light going off for me.
Absolutely, he hasn't had many easy opportunities, to be fair to him, but he still hasn't won since the King George in December 2022. He's been on the drift. You can understand that, can't you? But like I said, you can pick holes in the others. J-Lo needs to prove he stays. Went up to 2 miles 6 last time. I got beat 23 lengths by Protectorat. Obviously wasn't at his best. He also has a slight tendency to jump to his right. Now, I know he's won at Newbury before, but he's also won at Ascot and the like. And I think and Huntingdon, obviously, in the Peterborough. I have a feeling that he might want to go the other way, really. Hitman's probably a solid one for the place because he keeps getting placed almost wherever he runs, but very often at Newbury in the game spirit, been 3rd, 2nd in this for the last 2 years. Actually looked like he was running all over Shiskin at one point last year, didn't he? But again, he doesn't want to put his head in front. I think it's November 2022 that he last won. And you're going for Sam Brown's 13, Fugitive won't stay, Eldorado Allen is 11, and on the downgrade, Garlaw doesn't stay. So I came down with Le Patron, at least he's a young horse. I thought 6 to 1 is, or 11 to 2 is very fair. And of course, he hacked up over here at the Coral Gold Cup meeting. I know that was 2 mile 4.5, but he's related to a 2 mile 6 furlong winner. I think he wasn't stopping that day. And I just think his run at Cheltenham might come on the wrong sort of track anyway next time, but he might have come too soon because it was only just over 2 weeks after his return when he'd run a career best. So, yeah, give him a chance of getting 3 mile. I quite like him, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, this is that kind of race, isn't it? I mean, Eldorado Allen won this a few years ago. I mean, everyone thought he had no chance of staying, and he got into a nice rhythm. It is one of those tracks. And to be fair, yeah, I mean, I do look at this. The 2 7-year-olds in here, J-Lo and Le Patron, have probably won more races in the past 12 months than the rest have in the past, I don't know, 5 years. They're the only horses who are coming into this with proven ability of actually winning races recently, and they've also the 2 with improvement to come.
Yeah, I mean, wow, this is a puzzle, isn't it? And no doubt about it. Having a bit of a fight with myself over the last few days, because I keep wanting to back Hitman. And then I sort of hitting myself going, no, you can't back Hitman. I mean, when was the last time he won? I mean, but then I keep going, well, look, watch last year's race. I mean, like Kilson, he travelled like a good horse over Shishkin. The 3rd was Protectorat. That won the Ryanair chase. I mean,
I know,
proper Grade 1 horses, Protectorat and Shishkin, Hitman was 2nd in between them.
And you're
but
right.
He finished 2nd to anything, won't he, Hitman?
Exactly.
That's the problem. I could run out there and he'd finish 2nd to me.
I'd love to see it.
Oh, I'd give it a go. But so yeah, I'm kind of having a bit of a sort of
an existential crisis.
Yeah, over whether I should back Hitman. If Hitman wins tomorrow, I mean, I'm going to pull my hair out, I think. But and that also I'm sitting there going, well, there's this Jockey Cup thing, and Harry Cobden could ride Hitman if he want, no doubt about it. And he's not riding Hitman. If they think Brave Man's game's gone, then why is he not riding Hitman? Why is he riding Brave Man's Game? Brave Man's Game's unbeaten at Newbury, isn't he? So,
but I do think even a slightly gone Brave Man's Game has got more resolution than a tip-top Hitman.
Well, yeah, it's not difficult, is it?
No.
But I mean, he looked like he was going to win at Ascot, didn't he, last time? And I coming to the last, I was going, Hitman, surely Hitman's going to win, and then. Yeah.
Well, but again, this race 2023. Again, giving, off level weights with Zanza, he's 17 pounds superior to him, travelled strongly, disputed lead, led 4 out, pushed along, headed and not fluent 2 out, soon ridden, outpaced, weakened towards finish. That's what, look, he's one of those horses that I'd kind of love to own him, because every day he turns up in grade 2s and big handicaps, he goes on a Saturday, he never drops the lot. No. You're always 80% of the race you're in with a shout, but you know what he's going to do, right?
Yeah, and that makes him difficult to back, doesn't it? There's always that little voice in your head going, you can't back him, he's Hitman.
You banker him in the play spot, and that's your lot. That's what you do.
And what is Cobden thinking? You know, I mean, to all intents and purposes, you already made the point. It looks like Brave Man's game's gone. I mean, they're sticking the tongue tie on it, smacks of desperation. But even Cobden can't bring himself to ride Hitman. Even Cobden's sitting there going, I can't get on this. I mean, even I can't get this to win. I might as well give Brave Man's game a go. Yeah, so in the end, I ended up coming down on Le Patron, same as Kills. I mean, he's another one, isn't he? I mean, he's got a funny old head carriage, but it didn't stop him winning when he won here. He had his head up all over the place, but he came home strongly over 2.5. That race fell apart, which is a bit of a worry for me. Watch the tapes go up. I mean, about 3 of them got left a million miles. Scarface was second. I mean, he's hardly a world beater, is he? But nevertheless, we're dealing with a race full of old reprobates. And Le Patron is at least going forward, so that's what I came down on. But I know you like something else, don't you? Come on, give us the case.
Well, I'm going to. The interesting thing, Le Patron is almost the direct opposite of Hitman. He either bolts up or gives up, and Hitman runs the same race every single time. Looks like he's going to win, but doesn't. So,
who's the more genuine?
Well, exactly. I mean, that's a good question actually. Who would you rather own? A horse who 50% of the time gets beaten 20 lengths, but sometimes looks an absolute world beater. Le Patron must drive his connections up the wall half the time, or a horse like Hitman where you're always 50% up the wall from the moment they jump off. Which one of those two would you rather?
I think I'd rather own Le Patron because at least he wins races, doesn't he? You know, you might end up in that owner suite, but if one of these lot who own these lot, I mean, they deserve their champagne in the Wins Enclosure if they win, don't they?
Yeah, I'm hoping that they'll be eating Jello in the Winners' Enclosure. Yeah, I mean, look, first off, I'm slightly biased because Venetia Williams, Staying Chasers, big race on a Saturday. Look, you know, she just does it. Horses who have no business winning these races time and time again, she just keeps doing it. She's had 3 winners today. She's had 8, you know, we're saying the week before about Long Press. Oh, the Venetia horses in that good a form, you know, 8 from 26 in the past 2 weeks. I looked back at it again. So there have been 7 7-year-olds have run in this race rated 160 plus. 5 of them have won. 1 of them's finished second. Guess who that was?
Hitman.
There you go. Thank you very much.
Slap I'll take that.
yeah. And the other one was the Giant Bolster, who was in the only time where 2 7-year-olds in there, and he got beat by Long Run. I do think last time out it was too bad to be true. It was a bit of a bounce factor race. His half brother has won over 3 Mile 1 and 3 Mile 2. And like I said, this is the type of race, it is the type of track where if you do get rolling, does Jello stay 3 miles? No, but Eldorado Allen doesn't stay 3 miles and he won this. So partly, I think in a race of this nature, staying 3 miles is irrelevant. It's just having the rhythm and the resolution to actually go and win a race. And he's 7 years old, and we don't know that he doesn't stay because he hasn't given it a go yet. So
it wouldn't surprise you if he just went round there and won this easily, Jello, would it? Because like you say, I mean, of all of these, he's the one that hasn't really got a hole in him, has he, Jello? No. You know, but one thing's for certain: Hitman will be chasing him home.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Okay, David Stevens. Anyone else to throw into the mix here?
Well, I was confused beforehand. After Rodder's piece, I am even more confused. I just came down and, similar to you, Ross, in that Jello was the least least unreliable?
Least unreliable, yeah.
Even I'm confused. The least cheese graterish, got the fewest holes in him. Like you, I'm not convinced that it's the trip that beat him last time. At least I'm hoping it's not a different course. Venetia's in great form. 2 more winners today. But it's a really tricky, difficult race. It is, of course, named after the mighty Denman, trained by Paul Nicholls. Paul does have 2 in it. We've made varying cases that they can't win it. But 6-4 from 6-5 if you do think Paul Nicholls can win this Denman chase.
Okay, thank you very much. A couple of words for the chat here. Jimbo says Gar Law is a bit of a cliff horse. Yeah, he's another funny one. I can't quite figure him out either. And Stevens99 says, funny how they never mention all Venetia's losing runs, which I kind of get your point, but she's had 8 winners from 33 in November. She's had 11 from 67 in December. She's had 6 from 42 in January, and she's had 6 from 18 in February. So I'm struggling to find a losing run, really. So just to reiterate, Denman, Chase Angle for you, Paul Kealy?
Yeah, I like the Patron as one of the younger horses. I can certainly see the case for Jello. A little bit worried about whether he always sees the season out in full, but can see the case for him.
Okay, and Rodgers?
I'm gonna back Le Patron, but if Hitman wins, I think I'll give up the game.
He won't.
He won't.
He won't. He won't. He won't. Love him to bits, but he won't. Warwick's 240. Next up, the Mares Hurdle here. Listed contest over 2 miles and 5 furlongs, and there's a lot of chat about plenty of mares who might go for a Champion Hurdle, might go for a Mares Hurdle. If Gala Marceau dots up in this, I think we've got a guaranteed Mares runner for sure. She's 10 to 11 here. West Balboa 9 to 4. You Wear It Well 9 to 2. Dame of the Cotswolds 14 to 1. Royal Margot at 22 to 1. And Sunday Soldier at 40 to 1. So 6 runners, and certainly the 3 at single figures all have tons of ability, but not necessarily under these conditions, Paul Kealy. And there is, again, a little thing in the back of my mind that is looking at the second and the third favourites and thinking, do you have other races in mind here?
Absolutely. Well, I mean, West Balboa is going to Aintree, isn't it, for Handicap Hurdle on Grand National Day? You know, she's got form figures of 1-3 there, and has been first and third in that handicap at the meeting for the last 2 years. And the way she's going, she'll get down to a mark similar to the one she won it off a couple of years ago. So you can't really fancy her. I know she's got first-time cheek pieces, but you know, just not convinced we're going to see her at her best. And I'd imagine Gala Marceau is going to take the world of beating. I don't know what You Wear It Well is going to do. I don't think she's taken particularly well at fences.
Yeah, I have a slight suspicion that she ran a blinder on debut at Bangor. She was given a bit too much to do at Warwick, and she was taken off a fee at Windsor. But given that these silks were carried to victory in the 2.5 mile novice handicap chase off 137 a few years ago, I wondered whether this was just to keep her sweet for that, possibly.
Yeah, it could be Present View, isn't it? And she's what 134. My only worry would be, now it's an open handicap, you'd struggle to get in off 134, won't you?
Yeah, that is true, actually. I didn't think about that. Yeah, that's a fair point. So, I mean, she's a very talented horse, but
she is talented, but it just hasn't gone particularly well for her this season, has it? I mean, she's probably at the right trip again now. But yeah, I just think that Gala Marceau is going to be, there's no reason why she won't be there to win it, be the Mares Hurdle next. And she's not going to be one of the favourites for that anyway. So, it's money in the bag for Willie Mullins, I think.
Yeah, who, of course, Willie Mullins won this with Glenn's Melody 2 years on the bounce, about 9 or 10 years ago now. Doesn't send too many over for this, but yeah. Concern for Gala Marceau, I would say slightly, is that she's been beaten at 10 to 11, she's been at 2 to 7. She keeps running into Lossiemouth and other very talented horses, but she still hasn't won that many races for an odds-on shot, albeit this is a drop in grade.
That's right, yeah. And of course, Willie Mullins is struggling, isn't he, in Britain this season by his
yeah.
own very high standards. Every time he comes over, Nicky Henderson sends him back packing, don't he? So
I mean, he must be absolutely devastated. Only 8 winners from 27 runners and
terrible,
150 grand in prize money in the past 12 months in the UK.
By his own high standards,
yes,
of course.
Very high standards.
I get the point about West Balboa, but I just wonder if they were trying to get the mark down, why run here? She's off level weights with Gala Marceau, who's rated £7 higher than her. She's getting weight off of You Wear It Well, but again, she's rated higher than her. If she finishes anywhere near them, then there's no way her mark's going down. They might even go up, mightn't it?
Does she? I guess in my head, does she need to get the mark down? Or could she, if she runs up to form and the other two do, she gets a nice spin ahead of Aintree and the mark doesn't change at all, actually?
Yeah, it's possible, yeah.
But I don't know.
You've always got this in your back of the mind with the Skelton runners now, haven't you? Because, like it or not, after what happened with Langerdan, he's garnered a bit of a reputation for, lining horses up for big handicaps, hasn't he? And this one has obviously we know what handicap is going to go for, Kill's already mentioned it. But Why slap the cheek pieces on? Why run it at Warwick over a course and distance where it's 1 from 1?
Yeah.
I've never been convinced she's the strongest of stayers at 3 miles. Anyway, I think a strongly run 2.5 suits her better. And I think that she can beat Garland Marceau here. It just depends, though, on what they're up to, doesn't it? If it depends. Let's put it plainly. It depends if they want to win, doesn't it? If they want to win, I think she can win.
Yes. Yeah.
And let's hope they want to win.
Because you think she can win.
Because I think she can win.
Okay. David Stevens, do you think she can win?
Yeah, I do think she can win. I know we sort of jest about the Willie Mullins form, but he has had a few short ones turned over. Carghese at Ascot a couple of weeks ago was a similar sort of price to this one. She was beaten in the mares' race at Ascot. Odds on wouldn't be for me off the back of quite a long layoff. That said, she has been sort of nibbled at for the mares' hurdle in recent days, sort of 33s, 25s, now 20s for that race. I suppose if Lossiemouth is going for the champion hurdle, there'll be a few more from the Mullins Yard line up in that race. I just thought you wear it well. I mean, she's got to give weight to all the others. £4 to the rest won't be easy. But I don't know. I don't know if Paul or Rod, as you've seen any comments from connections in the paper tomorrow about why they're reverting back to hurdles. Just is she not kind of taken to chasing? And she's got decent hurdling form. And I thought at the prices, what she ran 9-2 now, she was the value alternative to the favourite.
Okay, thank you very much, David, then. Okay, that's Warwick. Back to Newbury we go for the Game Spirit Chase. 2 miles for this Grade 2 contest, of course, without Sir Gino. Matata, though, is 2-1. Edward Stone, 5-2. Liberty Hunter, 3-1. Master Chewy, 8-1. JPR 1 at 9-1. 5 runners here over the 2 mile trip. And again, it has lost a little bit of its interest, but Edward Stone bidding to do what quite a lot of good horses have done and win this a few times on the bounce, the likes of Altior and Azertube going back a few years as well. He's 11 years old, Edward Stone. He is another one who keeps getting beat, Rodders, but obviously holes in the others who are either stepping up from handicaps, even impressively so in the shape of Matata, but they all do have to prove themselves at this level. Or at least his main rivals in the betting do. Is Edward Stone a brave man's game, or is he going to bounce back in this race under his optimum conditions?
I really like Edward Stone as a horse. He is 11 though, isn't he? And he was. If he turns up and runs the race he ran in last year's race, he will win, won't he? Because he was so good in last year's race. He won by 40 lengths, and he never looked like he was going to get beat. They did, however, blast him, didn't they, from the front, and they've rarely done that since they tried it in the Champion Chase, which got El Fabiolo in trouble, but then, of course, they went and shot themselves in the foot, really, because it set the race up for Captain Guinness to come and beat the tyrant Edward Stone late. But, I still think it was the right thing to do, and if they go and blast off again, I could see Edward Stone being very hard to catch. I was a bit disappointed he didn't win at Kempton a couple of starts back, was it, or last time maybe, when he was beaten by Soul Icon. I know they went fast, but he travelled like the winner, didn't he, and didn't quite finish off the race in the way that you would hope, although Harry Cobden, I think it was, rode a Perla on the winner. As a result, I just wonder if Matata might be improving a bit too quickly for him. Matata's got course form, one over the track, 1 from 1 there. And of course is going forward fast, won impressively at Windsor last time, got an RPR of 166. It was a handicap, but you're carrying 12 stone, Matata, and 166 would have been good enough to win 4 of the last 10 run-ins of this race. And this isn't the strong running of the race, is it, without Sergino in it? So I came down on Matata, justifying favouritism, but it would not surprise me at all if Edward Stone blasted out and they didn't see which way he went.
Okay. It's 5-2 Edward Stone. We have had, how many is that? 12 horses aged 11 or more running this race, and they've all been beaten. Admittedly, a lot of them have been 200-1, and the only one who was in with any chance was the Viking Flagship in 1998. So we have to go back a long way to find horses with a chance. But time catches up with us all eventually, though, Mr. Paul Kealy. Has it caught up with Edward Stone?
Well, it's caught up with me, I know that much. Not sure I've got that long left away, I feel.
You can make it to the Supreme at least, surely, Keels. That's Aintree might be a stretch, if I'm honest.
The only thing about Edward Stone, if they do try and bash out in front with him again, Matata's going to go with him, isn't he? because he doesn't hang about, does he? So um, either Matata makes a run in or they do it together. And for me, that'll set it up for Liberty Hunter. I know he's got a fair amount to find, but I was massively impressed with the way he did it at Cheltenham on his return. He was quite weak in the market that day as well. Didn't seem to be particularly well fancied, but he picked them up and won very easily, I thought. Again, it's only a handicap company. He's got to do it in better company. But I like him. I think he's going forward, and I think they might set it up for him. I think he'll love the long running because he'd an half finish.
Yeah.
Yes, I know he's got a fair bit to find on official figures, but I bet there isn't that much between them.
Is he
Yes.
not going for the Grand Annual? And
Is he not going for the Grand
Well,
Annual?
we were just discussing about what Skelton was up to with West Balboa, and in the back of my mind is are they just trying to warm him up?
They seem desperate to run him in a top 2 mile race, though, don't they? Because he only didn't run in the Clarence House because the ground wasn't soft enough.
Yeah.
So
But look, I mean, but if you say that,
but
he's rated 151 here. I mean, if he does win this, the 2 mile chase division is so soft at times. I mean, you get one very good horse, and that's about it every year. Why the hell wouldn't you go for a champion chase?
Yeah, especially given the record of Favs in that race over the years.
Well, yeah. So yeah, he's. I know what you mean, but this is his one. He's 9 years old. He was placed at Aintree in Grade 1 company. If he did win this, the champion chase, they would genuinely have a chance of placing it.
Yeah, absolutely. I get the point. I'm just saying, having mentioned it with the Skelton, I think it's fair to mention it with the Evan Williams as well, because this is another trainer who knows what his targets are going to be down the line, and maybe it is a champion chase, and if it is the champion chase, he'd have a genuine chance of being placed in that race, wouldn't he, if he were to win here? So I could see that, but just with a mark of 151 coming up against horses who are rated in the 160s, again, if he gets close to them, that's going to ruin the mark. He's going to have no chance in that Grand Annual. So,
but I mean, Funambule Civil finished second in a champion chase after winning this. I mean, it's a weird race at times. Isn't
funny, we're talking about Newbury, but still can't get away from Cheltenham.
Can't get away from Cheltenham. No, fair enough. Why is JPR 1 8-1? That's the horse I got. He's beat Matata. He's beat J-Lo.
Yeah.
If he'd stood up at Cheltenham when he came down to last, he'd be unbeaten over fences outside a Grade 1 company.
Solid Grade 2 horse as well, isn't he?
Solid Grade 2 horse.
On the fringes of Grade 1, but he's not a Grade 1 horse. We know that. But yeah, maybe this is his level. Yeah.
Tizard horse is on fire. He's had what? He had 4 runners today. They finished second, first, second, third.
Yeah.
There's no way. There's no way that JPR1 isn't a better horse at this track over 2 miles than Master Chewy, and he's rated 156 and Liberty Hunter's rated 151, and he's a year younger than him.
Yeah.
I know he's given him £6, but
I see the case.
Yeah.
I can see the case for them all, actually.
Yeah. Why is JPR1 the outsider, Keels?
I can see the case for him. I can definitely see the case for him as well. No doubt about that. I don't know whether he wants a little bit more than a bare 2 mile these days or not. I mean, he was good at Exeter, but that is a stiff 2 mile 1.5 furlongs, isn't it? Beating J-Lo. So whether he actually wants a little bit further now, I don't know. But obviously he goes well fresh. Yeah, the case has been made. He is under a penalty, of course. He's got 11 stone 8, so he's got to give £6 to Liberty Hunter. He's got to give £6 to Matata. So you can sort of understand it, but he's obviously been well back recently.
Yeah. Yeah, again, £6. I mean, in the 2 mile chases, half of these are going to plough through one at some point, aren't they? But anyway, David Stephens, what did you make of the game spirit?
Well, you've somewhat stolen my thunder with JPR1. Yeah, I think he'll outrun his odds. This has been the plan for some time, and it's a day that the yard has always sort of done quite well in over the years. So, yeah, the prices, he was definitely the bet. It's another really, in the absence of Sergino, of course, it's a really wide open heat. I love Edwardstone. In Tom's absence, I'll lead the Edwardstone fan club for this. It wouldn't be a stretch to see him win at all. It wouldn't be a stretch to see Matata improve enough. It wouldn't be a stretch enough to see Liberty Hunter win. The only one we're not making a case for is Master Chewy. But at the prices, JPR1 for me.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. I think it needs to be. If it was If it was 1 mile, 6.5, I mean, I'd be all over Master Chewy like a rash, I think. But anyway. Right, 2 more to go. Warwick's 3:15 first. We have 2.5 miles for the Veterans Handicap Chase. Fugitive 5-2. Lamilos 3-1. Shake 'em Up Harry at 9-2. Smarty Wild 6-1. Editor de Gite is 7. Grandad's Cottage is 8-1. Whistle in the Dark 14. Strawfan Jack 16-1. And Kale Destine is the outsider of the bunch. But Fugitive, who spends the vast majority of his life rattling round Cheltenham, comes to Warwick and is 5-2 favourite. Clearly a very classy horse. Sorry?
He doesn't load, does he? His first preference is Newbury, isn't it?
Is it? He's definitely definitely that's his first.
First preference is Newbury, so you're looking at a 25p all 4.
All right. I was going to say, will Warwick suit him? But it won't. Certainly because he won't be there.
It might do, but we'll go find out tomorrow.
We'll never find out. But all right, fair enough. Scratch that. Lamilos then 3-1, and we're back with the Skelton conundrum.
Yeah, we're back with the Skeltons, aren't we? Which we should be at Warwick, of course.
Yeah, they absolutely love the place.
They love Warwick, and if they could have dreamt up a race for Lamilos this year, you would have thought, where's it going to be? It's probably going to be at Warwick, and he turns 10. It's probably going to be a Veterans Chase, and lo and behold, he turns up at Warwick in a Veterans Chase, having run his best race of the season at Chepstow last time, when he crept into the race from off the base, was given a nice quiet ride, and was not beaten all that far in the end by a very progressive horse in the shape of Lowry's Bar. And now there absolutely is not a Lowry's Bar in this race, and he is 10 and he's taken on a bunch of exposed horses. I only see one way this going, and that is to the favourite, Lamilos, and I think they might ride him a little bit more prominently this time than they have done in the past. I can see him being up there in the first 2 or 3 most of the way. He stays very well. It's an absolute golden opportunity, I think, and he'll take it.
Okay, yeah, he's this is in theory perfect for him. Assuming, as G-Rod said there, Keels, that he is running a little bit more prominently, because Shake 'em Up Harry certainly is going to be on the speed, and this is kind of ideal for him conditions-wise as well. I know he fell last time out, but he should, if he gets into a nice rhythm here, Ben Pauling's horse is in good nick as well. He could be the one to catch.
Yeah, it could be, but the trainer says he could be a bit fitter, which always makes you worry, doesn't it? And Cheltenham is around the corner, isn't it? And he's got a plate to defend. I know he's 11 years old, but you wouldn't be surprised if that's the main plan. I see exactly where Rodgers is coming from, to be honest. If it was 2 miles 6 furlongs, I think the Milos would be a certainty. It is only 2 mile 4, which is on the short side for a Cold Gold Cup winner, but there isn't an awful lot to fear in this race, is there? There's holes in all of them. And you don't want to be betting each way either, because Strawfan Jack pulled up today. Probably won't run either. That'll take you down to 7. So, yeah, not the most appealing betting race. I think Lamilos is very much the one to beat. I thought Smarty Wild ran well the other day at Kempton, and probably doesn't want 3 miles himself. He might go well. But, yeah, Lamilos is the one to beat.
I mean, let's be honest, Smarty Wild's never been a 3-miler in his life, despite the fact that he spent the past 3 years running over the trip. So,
yeah, absolutely, yeah, he could do a bit of damage coming back down the trip.
Okay, David Stevens, anything for the Veterans Chase?
Well, I did think Shake 'em Up Harry and Lamilos were the two, but now Keels has said about the comments from the trainer on Shake 'em Up Harry. There's going to be another day for that one. So, yeah, it comes down to Lamilos for all the reasons that Rod has outlined. Forms one of a very strong hand of Harry Scouten rides tomorrow, and Harry to ride 2 winners of the ITV races from Warwick, Loda Sud, of course, and West Balboa, the others, 6-4 from 11 to 10, and it sounds like this could be one of them.
Okay, thank you very much. Right, let's get on to the big race of the day then, shall we? The big hurdle over at Newbury. 18 of them turning up this year. Secret Squirrel is 4-1. Favourite, Joyeuse is 9-2, Navajo Indy 13-2, Favourite and Fortune 8-1, Washington 9-1, Josh the Boss is 10-1, Fiercely Proud 11s, Minabad 14s. Plenty of horses in here with chances at bigger prices as well. Last year's winner, Iberico Lord, very classy, top weight lump sum. One of my favourites over the past few years in the shape of Orkan Risk, Unexposed Manila Missile, Our Champ, who also goes well in these kind of events. Beat the Bat was disappointing last time out, but he's unexposed. Another Gordon horse in King William Rufus. Go Dante will probably be going to Sandown, but this will be a nice start for him. And then we've got Willie the Builder and Give Him 5 as well. So, but the interesting thing again about this race, which is fairly rare, Keels, for this race in particular, is it often goes to classy horses who sometimes take this and then crack onto the Supreme or even the County. But it's all the horses down the bottom of the handicap that are dominating the betting here. So we've got quite a lot of class horses at big prices.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think part of the reason is that when you're talking about class horses, I mean, you've had top weights rated 15, 20 pound higher than this before in this race. Remember the day when was it Rooster Booster ran in it years ago, and the top weight here was only off 144.
Yeah.
So you've got a lot of unexposed young horses coming in off very low marks that you'd hope they'd be better than, wouldn't you? But I'm not entirely certain that'll be the case. I mean, the one I'm most negative about is the one that's gone into favouritism, and that's Joy Hers, who I thought needed every yard of 2 mile 4 furlong and mares company last time, and is coming back to 2 mile now. Nico de Boinville was obviously prefers him over Iberico Lord, and I've backed Iberico Lord as one of my two. Obviously, he won the race last year. He beat Load of Sud and Go Dante. Now, Load of Sud went on to be second in the county before going over fences and is, 17 pound higher now, or something, 23 pound higher his chase mark is than when he ran in this. And Go Dante won the Imperial Cup next time. So it was a very solid race last year. He didn't really take to fences, even though he won first time, and I don't think he stayed. I think it was just a case of not staying at Windsor over 2 mile 4 last time. So I thought I'd give him another chance back in this with Freddie Gingle taking off 3. I thought he was one of the more interesting outsiders. And at the front of the market, I much preferred Navajo Indy over the others, just because, again, of the Newbury form. 3 runs at Newbury, 1-2-1. He won a bumper at 12-1. He pulled miles clear with Be Aware in a maiden hurdle. Be Aware's rated about £9 higher than him over hurdles now. And then, of course, he won a Jerry Fielden. He never seemed to be going at Windsor last time. Track looked way too sharp for him. But he did thunder home, and he was only beaten 3 lengths by Secret Squirrel, who's obviously £5 worse off now. Shouldn't be much between them. He does seem very weak in the market, though. He was only 11-2 this morning. He's 15-2 in places now. But I think he's pretty solid.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it was by accident or design, but he was the tactics were definitely overcooked for the track last time out at Windsor, weren't they? So I think he will definitely relish this. Cheap piece is on for him. Nicky Henderson, last 15 years in this race, quite a lot of them well back. 2 from 35, Keels. So I mean, if you're going to be backing him, I want to be taking bigger than 9-2. That's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, he has won it about 7 times overall, though, hasn't he? So.
Yeah, but it's almost like he has a kind of a reputation that's Nicky always wins this, but 15, 20 years ago maybe, but
yeah, absolutely, yeah, and she's very short to me on what she's done on the racetrack.
Yeah. Now
I get that she's unexposed and she may have a lot more to come, but it just does look very short to me.
Yeah. I mean, the fact of the matter is, if we were all backing 9-2 shots, Rodders, in races like this, because someone's whispered in your ear they've got a stone in hand, we'd all be broke. But the only reason Joyeuse is that price is because people are whispering that she's got a stone in hand. But there could be others here who've got a stone in hand as well.
Absolutely, yeah. And maybe I'm pocket talking a little bit, but I did think she should have won at Cheltenham. It was a messy old race. They went no pace, and the jockey, I hesitate to say it was de Boinville, but I think it was.
It was, yeah.
I thought made a bit of a mess of it. He got in all sorts of bother. And ended up giving the horse far too much to do, and it flew home to finish second, I think. Maybe I'm pocket talking because I thought she was a good thing that day, and really she should have been, given that she's a red hot favourite for this race. But this is a much stronger race, and she wasn't able to win last time, So I couldn't be having her on my mind at those sorts of odds. I thought Secret Squirrel was the right favourite. He was very impressive when he won at Windsor. Probably should have gone a lot closer, shouldn't he, previously at Ascot when he was given an absolutely ridiculous ride by David Bass, who subsequently has been jocked off. They've got Sean Bowen this time, haven't they? Last time Nico himself was on. However, I'm not going to back him at a short price. I've backed a couple. One of them is Orkin Risk.
Yeah, love him to bits.
You know, I mean,
you know what you get with him.
He is £5 lower than when he won this race 2 years ago, and he was clear that day with Filey Bay, and he showed that he's no back number when he won at Ascot in November. That was a good race. The second was Alnalam, has won at Southall since. The third was Mirabad, has won at Cheltenham since. The sixth, Alrini Mill, has won since. The fourth and fifth have won, both run well in defeat.
Yeah.
So we know that Orkin Risk, the fire still burns there. We know he loves Newbury. He's run twice there, was second over fences and won this race, and he's well handicapped. Only worry is that if it gets really testing, he probably wants good ground, doesn't he? Most of his best form is on good or good soft ground, although he has one on soft. But I could see him running really well. Freddie Gingell's up, and he's good value for his claim in a race like this. The other one I backed is King William Rufus.
Okay, you're all over the Chris Gordon horses this weekend, aren't you?
Well, I like Chris Gordon in these sorts of races, these 2 mile handicap hurdles. He's really good. He's got another one in it, hasn't he, our champ, who no doubt will go out and win something else later in the season. I'm not sure that the ground's going to be right for him. He definitely wants good ground. But King William Rufus was second behind Jericho de Repenay at the course. That's not bad form. And he absolutely hacked up in an 18-runner handicap at Ascot 2 starts ago. You will not see an easier winner. He was disappointed when he was short price last time at Chepstow, but that was on soft ground. If you give any horse a poor run round there on soft ground.
And it was also 7 days later as well, which
probably came too quickly.
Yeah.
If he comes back to his Ascot form, there's no way he can be 20 to 1. So they're the two I backed: Orkin Risk and King William Rufus, Chris Gordon special.
All right, lovely stuff. Yeah, I've just got about like I said, the angle I was looking at was I do think that there are horses up towards the top of the handicap who, like I said, in a normal year, you might be coming up against a My Tent or Yours or something. But actually, I thought Lump Sum interested me quite a bit. I mean, obviously, you can put a line through the Kempton run last time out. Before that, he was the only horse to chase home Sergino. And before that Foss last race, the Welsh Champion Hurdle, Steel Allies franked it, Issam's franked it, Gypcott's franked it. And, this horse, I don't know, I'm just looking at him thinking, I don't quite understand why a 7-year-old rate of 144 back in a handicap after 2 runs in Grade 1s is 20 odd to 1. It just seems a bit daft to me. Yes,
that's what we like about this race, isn't it? You can back good horses at good prices, and that's what we like.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, Fiercely Proud, obviously, he comes into it with the back of a win as well. Favour and Fortune was he the best of the British in the Supreme last year? Off the top of my head, finishing 6th behind Slade Steele, and he's won a tear and ran okay at Ascot last time out. Yeah, wide open stuff, David Stevens.
It is wide open stuff. 5 places each way because of that. And I honestly thought I was going to be the only one tipping King William Rufus. So we'll go down in glory together. We'll go down in flames. We'll go up in glory together, Rodders. I think you've got to forgive him that run at Chepstow. As you say, only came a week after Ascot. Been freshened up since then. Not quite sure how he did run at Chepstow that day because it was the day of the Coral Welsh National when the fog came down. So, yeah, forgive him that run at 28 to 1, 5 places each way. King William Rufus for me.
Okay, thank you very much. Lovely stuff. And Keels, just reiterate what you've backed.
Navajo Indy and Iberico Lord.
Okay, lovely stuff. Right. Okay. Rodders?
Yeah, I'm with Orkin Risk and King William Rufus, both each way. Big prices, Chris Gordon, all the way.
All right. I'll go with Lump Sum. And I'll have a little save on Fiercely Proud because I just do think those two have been running in better races. And this isn't the strongest renewal of this contest by any stretch of the imagination. Okay. Bit of a strange Saturday tomorrow with Warwick and Newbury. Plenty of other stuff we could talk about as well. But we're going to get an ad and then we're going to get the best.
We're into the final bend of the Coral Fan Derby, where racing lovers of the UK are in a spectacular contest. And watch this, he's shaking his phone like it's a pocket-sized maraca. They're all getting rewards now. He's shaking it, she's shaking it, they're all shaking it. Play the free Coral Rewards Shaker to win guaranteed daily rewards and offers. Coral, we're here for it.
All right, best bets then on Saturday. Starting off with you, G-Rod.
I'm going to go with Lemilos in the 3:15 at Warwick.
Lovely stuff, thank you very much. Paul Kealy.
I like Kruger Park at Newbury in the 150.
Okay, David Stevens.
I will go for You Wear It Well in the Mares race at Warwick.
Okay, I'm going to go for a race we didn't even talk about, which is the 348 at Warwick. Active Authority, I thought was very, very interesting for Ollie Murphy. Fourth behind Red Dirt Road last time out with Uncle Bert in third. One Iron Vegas behind. Very good form, I thought. Promising claimer back on board. Lovely stuff. Right, enjoy the weekend, and we'll be back on Monday night to reflect on what's happened and get even more excited about Cheltenham. See you there.